Launched in 1976, the Rover SD1 was touted as the car of tomorrow today. Designed by David Bache and Spen King, the Rover SD1 was a marvel of British Leyland's design and technology. With the SD1 already ahead of its time, you may be thinking, how could this possibly be improved? Other than fixing the production issues, of course. But what if I told you that there were Rover SD1s forgotten to time, that were so crazy and so unique, they pushed the limits of the Rover SD1, challenging supercars and luxury cars of the time? That's right, in this video, we are going to be taking a look at some of the most crazy Rover SD1s ever produced, from one-off models for development to bespoke models like the Rover SD1 Prestige and the Janspeed Rover SD1 Twin Turbo. This video has been a real joy to produce, and it's just been an incredible rabbit hole of fast Rovers, SD1s, Wood Pickett, you name it. It's been really great. And if that's the sort of thing you like as well, remember to subscribe to the channel and drop me a like on the video. If there's anything you'd like to add, drop it in a comment below, what you'd like to see next, anything I've missed or anything that I've gotten wrong. Again, this has been a real deep dive into the history of British cars and the Rover SD1. So without further delay, let's get right into the video. In 1979, the Rover SD1 Series 1 was lacking a performance variant, with the top of the range being occupied by the V8S, a more luxury-focused model, a cut above the standard 3500 or 3500 Vanden Plas. So in 1979, Janspeed created something truly special. Janspeed are experts in tuning bolt-on kits and conversion, and at the time were headed up by their founder, Jan Odor, a Hungarian racing driver. They turned their attention to the Rover SD1 V8, developing a turbo conversion kit. This wasn't simply about just two turbos and their supporting manifolds and plumbing, it also included some very period turbo graphics. This was essentially a full turbo conversion kit to make the SD1 the full package, including a plaque for the kit which stated the serial number of the Janspeed kit. The kit cost about 900 quid, which wasn't exactly cheap back then, considering that's 10% of the £9,000 cost of a 3500 Rover SD1 showroom price. These improvements took the Rover SD1 to the next level, drastically improving its performance, with the 9.2 second to 60 time cut to just over 7 seconds, on par with the Vitesse that will be released later, and its top speed being increased to 140 miles per hour, with a 30% increase in brake horsepower and torque. There were extras for this kit as well, which are fitted on the car shown on screen: suspension upgrades, bigger brake kits and wheels, as well as the optional front and rear spoilers. You may be asking, if these cars were so spectacular, what happened to them all? Well, nobody really knows. Sadly, there is little to no information about these online, with AR Online of course being one of the best sources for this information. I've managed to find that there are two in existence, with one sold on eBay which includes the full kit in 2015, and then another being restored in a private collection. With so little known about these cars, they are truly a mysterious entry in the Rover SD1's history, and with only two currently in existence, that makes them one of the rarest cars in the country. In the late 1970s, the Rover SD1 was missing a true executive express, and that is when David Price stepped in. Formed in 1976, DPR was a British racing team which competed in several racing series and wanted at the time to create a Rover SD1 for Group 1, for the road, a loud, harsh and fast Rover. In 1979, John Davenport asked David Price if he would be interested in building a prototype Group 1 Rover SD1 3500 to evaluate the feasibility of entering the car for competition. And with that, the Rover Racing Programme, in collaboration with British Leyland, was born. Work started on this project in May of 1979, with British Leyland preparing the engines for DPR and DPR taking the standard SD1s and, well, changing a lot. Some of the changes included suspension changes for Coney dampers and uprated springs, lowering the car by 2.5 inches, an LSD, 4-pot front brake calipers with vented discs, and of course the beating heart of the DPR SD1, a V8 that was dyno tested and run by Hesketh with ported heads, solid lifter cam, high compression pistons, and a 4-barrel Holley carburetor. This took the DPR SD1 to a 140 mph top speed with 220 brake horsepower. The full conversion kit included a full interior retrim with Recaro seats, new carpets, door cappings, with even the rear seats being retrimmed to match the Recaro seats up front. Styling wise, the outside of the car spotted wheel arch extensions, rear spoilers and a front air dam mated to the plastic underpan, providing a seamless integration with, of course, the wide arches. All of these changes resulted in a 220 brake horsepower powerhouse of a Rover SD1 that looked incredibly imposing and had the performance to match. These were also sold as part of a kit that's shown here on screen, so the owners could create their own bespoke SD1s to enhance any Rover SD1 V8 that was brought to DPR. The standard sort of technical performance demonstrator, the DPR10 shown here, is the top end of the spec with every single improvement. There is only known to be one DPR Rover SD1 in existence, the orange prototype car shown here. It's not known where or if this car still exists. There are no known examples of the DPR kits surviving either, and if anyone has any information, please comment below about this car or any of the kits or anything. I'd really like to know more, as I can only find one magazine article mentioning this and a few Facebook posts, so it is a true enigma. This car, however mysterious and obscure, led to the creation of one of the most successful forays into motorsport that BL/Austin Rover ever had, the Rover SD1 Group 1 car, and of course, the Rover Vitesse. You may be familiar with the practicality of the Rover SD1, mainly due to its fastback design and its really wide opening rear tailgate. However, there is something else quite large at the back of this car, and it's the load lip, which at times can make it a bit tricky getting things in and out of the boot. And BL were aware of this as well in the mid to late 1970s, with the appeal of the Ford Granada Estate and the success of the Volvo 200 series estates. The design department at BL were tasked with creating a late addition to the Rover SD1 range. But of course, the SD1 at this time, as well as many other cars in BL's lineup, were doing badly, which led to the cash-strapped British Leyland outsourcing the development. The in-house design team designed the car, and it was then given to Car Bodies of Coventry to commission a clay prototype for evaluation. The clay book was such a hit with the BL board, they decided to pursue the project further, taking it in-house and converting two Rover SD1s to estates. One was registered in 1976 with registration LOE 99P, and another in 1977 registered as SHP 549R. Both cars were slightly different, however, with SHP having the clamshell style tailgate with rear wiper, the same as the Car Bodies of Coventry clay model, and LOE having an inset tailgate, similar to the Volvo 240 Estate of the time. It's not known which car was developed first, only which was registered first. Therefore, I can't confirm if LOE or SHP were developed in tandem at both BL and Car Bodies of Coventry. SHP was a more complete product with a badging to match, as the 3500E. However, as the Rover SD1's troubled life went on, it was decided not to pursue this project any further, leaving it to disappear from product plans in around 1980. After this, there was no hope of restarting the project, with the Maestro Montego also in development at the same time, eating up resources that were due in 1982, and the Rover SD1's shelf life being drastically reduced due to the production woes. The fate of the estate was sealed. The two cars produced did lead a quite interesting life after the project's disbandment, however, with SHP being upgraded to Van den Plas specification and then owned by none other than BL board director Michael Edwards. It remained taxed until 1987, after which it was stored and then transferred to the Haynes Motor Museum, where it resides today. LOE was transferred to the British Motor Museum upon its opening, with both models being preserved. This has to be one of the first examples of Rover estates being developed with the car firm's approval. In late 1979, Wood Pickett of Mini and Range Rover conversion fame decided it was time to turn its attention to the Rover SD1, with a range of bespoke conversions from factory cars with a choice of either the Rover 2600 or 3500 SD1s as the base car. The customer then had to contend with a long list of options after picking their base car to produce the final specifications of their own bespoke Rover SD1 Prestige. The Wood Pickett Rover SD1 Prestige was more than just an SD1 with a few stickers, however, and a new paint job. It included advancements like electric seats, and interior options like a walnut dashboard with inlaid door cappings, new door cards, wilting carpeting, and an onboard computer with cruise control. The car even offered one of the most advanced and probably the craziest feature of its time, keyless entry, by way of a keypad on the B pillar. There was also a new dashboard design with a bit more going on as opposed to the SD1's minimalist design look. It was a bit more maximalist, providing an additional lockable storage compartment on the passenger side. As if 2 glove boxes weren't enough, Wood Pickett even got Jan Speed involved, incorporating its turbo kit with a rear spoiler. I've managed to obtain a list of options thank you to AR Online, and this option list is quite cool. A complete respray to coach builder standard is one of the options at £1,550. Chrome spoked wire wheels fitted with Dunlop tyres at £1,095. And then you've got the onboard computer at £190, electronic cruise controller at £245, and the previously mentioned digital keyless entry system at £695. Turbocharging is going to cost you £1,795, and then if you'd like air horns with a changeover switch, that's £75. The total, including all of these options, well, it's including fitting, but not including the car, is £11,555 if you went for every single option, and that is a truly crazy option list. It really did make an incredible car though if you just look at these photos. With 99 EFC being the only car known to exist, it's the Wood Pickett demonstrator car, and it's the only one I can find in pictures as well. The fate of this car unfortunately is unknown, and if you do have any information, please let me know, and let's see if we can sort of get some more information out there on this car, because it is a true enigma and probably one of the most advanced Rover SD1s ever made. KAT Designs was a design studio headed up by young designer Simon Saunders. He was looking to turn an ordinary car into a supercar. After working for both Vauxhall and Aston Martin Tickford, the young designer and his team at KAT Design wanted to create something bespoke. Well, and British. With the SD1's already striking design, it was the obvious choice. Simon approached British Leyland with a proposal to create a performance SD1 like no other. Unfortunately, BL weren't interested, so Saunders and KAT Design set to work on creating the SD1 that BL wouldn't build, the KAT SD1 Twin Turbo. The KAT Design team first set out on the body kit. Although at the time body kits were all style and no substance, Simon Saunders and his team wanted to create something with aerodynamic improvements, creating the iconic SD1 KAT styling shown here, with deep flared sills, single moulded bumpers and front and rear spoilers. This car really took the SD1 to the next level. Some thought was even spared on the usability of the car. The KAT SD1 had its jacking points easily accessible and even a degree of corrosion protection to stop dirt and debris getting stuck in between the body kit and the actual car itself, which usually results in a lot of rust. Turbo Technics were then charged with tuning the V8 engine and truly refining the beating heart of the KAT SD1, attaching an intercooler with twin turbochargers and supporting modifications, including 2 fog light fittings being converted into air intakes to truly take the KAT SD1 into supercar territory. With a supposed power output of 300 brake horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 6 seconds, this truly was the supercar killer SD1. KAT Designs as well only offered the engine modifications if the customer purchased the prerequisites, so you couldn't have all of this performance without purchasing the rest of it, so you had to have the complete full KAT SD1 package to get this. So you needed to get Koni suspension, 4-pot calipers, uprated clutch and transmission, making your KAT the true full package. Unfortunately, it isn't known how many KAT SD1s were made. There have been several cars pictured with KAT body kits, however I haven't found a fully completed KAT with all the options. One is believed to exist in a private collection, however I don't have any information to support its status or if it is really the full thing. But if you do have any information or you are the owner of the KAT SD1 I'm talking about, I can be contacted on my email, in the comments section or via Instagram. And those are all in the description of this video. I did find one 3500 SE with the Compomotive wheels and the kit, but sadly no other information is to hand, so I can't even say if this is the full package. This makes the KAT SD1 one of the biggest question marks in the Rover SD1's legacy. With unverified power figures, no examples known to exist in the full specifications, this really is the Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster of Rover SD1s, and its sheer lack of information. I had to go on the Wayback Machine to get this information. It is a true mystery, and it is one of the most incredible SD1s ever made. The design and development modified Rover SD1s were exclusive to Australia. These cars were introduced in 1981 and used the SD1 Series 1 as a base, and were known as the SD1 D&D Sports Tourer. The D&D SD1s were developed by Sydney-based car tuner design and development, taking the Rover SD1 and reworking it into what one magazine at the time referred to as a respectable hot rod. The car was customised both inside and out with a lot of electronic equipment, including a Prince onboard computer, a radar intercept detector, and a Bionaire ionizer. If you don't know what that means, it's basically a filter / air purifier, and of course an AWA car phone. Engine modifications were also undertaken to take the car past its stock output to an undisclosed figure, and I can't seem to find any mention of any modifications that went on in terms of the engine. The car inside included wool trim headlining and pillars, wool carpets, and a Momo steering wheel. Custom reclining bucket seats as well, front and rear. On the outside, the car had customised pinstriping with the D&D badge on both sides of the front wings and Gotti alloy wheels. The suspension was also improved with decarb and gas shocks and variable rate springs. The D&D SD1 was Milton Leslight and the D&D team's creation, and was built for owners who wanted a 3500 with a bit more oomph. The configuration was even available at selected BL dealerships to offer a more bespoke and exclusive car that offered more performance than the standard SD1s at a cost of 30,000 Australian dollars, including the car, of course, with all the supporting modifications. Sadly, it's not known how many of these Rover SD1s still exist, with not a lot of information on them online. The only information I found was from Rover SD1 Australia, but sadly there isn't much else. It appears the D&D SD1s are truly lost to time in the land down under. The Rover SD1 convertible is truly an oddity, and has to be one of the weirdest, oddest and craziest Rover SD1s ever created. Designed and developed by Bristol-based automotive engineering firm SMC Engineering, the four-door convertible's development started in the late 1970s, with the conversion removing a lot of the rear, majority of the roof sections, and replacing them with a Webasto folding roof and an additional folding rear section. SMC redesigned the bodywork, strengthened the car, and redesigned the rear. The plans for this car were to introduce it to the American market, and in 1980 a left-hand drive prototype was completed and displayed at the Brussels Auto Show. Shortly after this, it was then shipped to New York, where SMC hoped it would really make an impression. Unfortunately, the impression wasn't exactly what they expected, with interest both financially and from the public just not being there. The prototype then returned to the UK, passing through the hands of several owners until 1996, when the car was fully restored to its former glory. There is only one known to exist, and this car is currently in a private collection. Sadly, it didn't conquer America as SMC had hoped, but they really did build a striking and very, very polarising Rover SD1. However fast, striking, exclusive, or luxurious these cars may be, or even in some cases, as we've seen, weird and just sometimes downright odd, they do all prove one thing, that the Rover SD1 was a really incredible car, and probably the best car British Leyland ever produced. It really was tomorrow's car today, back in the 1970s, and it was produced all the way up until 1986, where it saw success both in the public, policing, rally, and all other sorts of motorsport it competed in, including the Touring Car Championships. It really was a brilliant car. Sadly, its history and its legacy will always be tarnished by the production issues and the unrest at British Leyland and Austin Rover during the time it was produced. The Rover SD1 is one of those. The right car produced at the wrong time. And with that, everybody, we'll end the video. If you have anything else that you need to add, or there's anything I've missed, drop it in the comments below, because I'd really like to hear from you. And if there's anything I got wrong, I appreciate that as well, because there's not a lot of information on all these cars, and I'm just trying to collate it all together for all of our enjoyment. So thank you everybody for watching. Keep watching, remember to subscribe for more of this, and I'll see you in the next one.